have some quote unquote downtime, you need to really know what is it that I need to be building up on the back end. So when that next boom hits, I'm ready. I have my resources. I have my marketing material. I have all the things ready to pull that trigger. And then when it comes to the money piece and planning my marketing, I'm always paying attention to the things that I want to do. I am the symbiote quote queen, right? Meaning I need to plan for this. It may not be in my budget today, but I know that I'm trying to work out what I need to do. So when I am ready to pull that trigger, I know exactly how much it's gonna cost. I know exactly how much of what I need to sell to pay for that. Like I know what the math is on the front end. So maximize, because you should always be doing money generating behavior. Just understand that it may not generate money immediately. And sometimes we get so caught up in making money today and not realizing that if you really build out a strong marketing plan and build out a strong business, it's gonna make your children money. Right? So don't worry about if you can get the Louis bag today. Worry about the fact that your great grandkids and the great great grandkids and all those generations it will be normal for them to have some Louis diapers or whatever, right?
Right.
So that is the goal. What are you doing during those down times, and how do you not get caught in the woe is me? Which, just lastly, I'll say that's why it's important to not be caught up in imitating somebody else, right? Because if you're so worried about, oh my God, I don't want to look like I'm struggling, and then you look up and that brand that was killing it last year, you ain't even seen they post no more. Shut it down.
Right.
Right.
For real.
So understand what you're doing long term, so that you're not so caught up in the short term struggle.
That was so good. So good. I think one of the first things is understanding like that's the nature of being an entrepreneur. Of like there're going to be ebbs and flows. That's why we got into this. Like just really understanding that first and foremost. That's how business works. In addition to that, really having monthly recurring revenue should be like your main goal in your business. That will definitely give you stability. And that's something that I feel like I got late, as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur now for 8 years, had this agency for 4 years, but really just within the last few years, I really focused on monthly recurring revenue. And 2023 was a rough year for us, revenue-wise. We took a little bit of a hit for a lot of businesses. But what was able to stabilize us was having monthly recurring revenue, where you can really forecast how much money your business is going to make month after month. Yes, you want to watch your churn, attrition, if you have memberships and stuff like that. But what leaves you very vulnerable is trying to start at ground zero every single month, trying to get a new client or a new person into your course or a new person into your program. So definitely having monthly recurring revenue. And then me personally, like when things tighten up or whatever, like I step back from the business and like really try to look at it from the top level of like try to work more on the business, not in the business. So that's like my biggest thing. I literally like things get tight or whatever. I'm like, all right, I got to step back. Let me get one of my books. Let me start reading, educating myself and everything, and like really getting back to our core mission and what we do as a company. And that's just helped me. And then also when things do get tight, it's so much better when things pick back up because you learn so much and it just makes you stronger.
Can I just make one more point? Yeah. I don't want to mess up the system. No, you're good. But to what he was saying, stepping back, right? Also, I want you to be careful with the expenses that you cut.
True.
Because a lot of times, the first thing you want, like, I'm in a mastermind, it costs a walk. You know what I'm saying? Baby.
Listen.
With that auto draft,
Right. Right. Or you forget it's about to hit.
Okay. But what I also understand is that I can afford to not pay that.
Right.
Right? And so just keep that in mind, because you guys, when you're in this room, you invested to be here. If you're a part of our mastermind program, that's an investment in the long-term development of your business. And so be careful to not cut expenses that will give you long-term success. Step back and look at what are the small things, what are some recurring subscriptions or things that your business no longer needs, because you can find the money you need to continue to maintain the things that are truly growing your business.
Mhm.
So good. I know this isn't about marketing, but I really want to know, how do y'all deal with the impact of like, the environment and the economy and stuff changing, and when things happen in business changing, how do you deal with that mentally and like it not impacting your spirit and the way you show up?
Yeah, that's good. For me, I mean, just understanding that in any economical downturn or shift, there's always money still to be made. It's like, what side of it are you on? So that's something that, I always think about as well, whether it's recently, 2008. A lot of people got rich in the 2008 crash that had the liquid and the capital to be able to buy up a whole bunch of assets. So, that's what it was like for me. And then also for me personally, when things tighten up and try not to mess with my spirit, I got to understand that we love business, but there are a lot of things that are still more important. Health, like, am I still healthy? Am I still good? Is my family still good? If other things, still working? Are my kids still okay? So for me, that's putting in perspective of like, yeah, a lot of us been through some rough stuff. So just think about all the things that you may have been through, the trials and tribulations. And then you think about the things you may have went through in your business. When you compare that to a lot of stuff, a lot of people, actually trials and tribulations or things that they grew up with or just unfortunate situations in your life, a lot of this business stuff really is nothing compared to that, once you put it in perspective. So that's what I always try to do.
Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Pastor.
So, tell them the whole name.
She's a PK. Pastor Trudon, Dr. Pastor.
So when I started my company, I always say that some people, jump out on faith. I got pushed, right? And when I got pushed, I mean, the company that I was working for, that I was convincing myself was funding my dreams, fired me. And I always say my first business coach was God. And I remember going into this extra spare room that we had in this house that we just bought, and I was like, well, we can get this money to pay this mortgage. And I just prayed, and I really sat with God, and my ask of him was to guide me. I asked him to remove people from my life that was not supposed to go on this side of the journey with me. And when I tell you one day, they was gone. I'm like, why should you call me no more? Why should you call me?
That's what you asked for.
See what you did there. But I also asked for 9 months. And I don't know why that number, in hindsight, I think I realized I was birthing a baby, right? Because our businesses are like our babies. But I always say my first business coach was God. And I'm here today because of that coaching session that we had that day and the coaching sessions that I have with him every day going forward. And when I thought life was at its lowest, when I was like, woe is me, immediately I walked into a profitable business. And I know that's not normal because I know that's God, right? And so I've learned to get excited about the struggle. Because every time it's gotten so hard that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, God. It always shows, he shows up and he shows out.
Facts.
So I have learned to get excited and celebrate the struggle and the challenge because I know he's setting me up for a big one. And you have to know that at the end of the day, he's preparing you for something. So sit with yourself and figure out what that is. Because you're so caught up trying to chase a dollar that you miss the purpose that he had already prepped you for.
Facts.
Because we be planning ourselves out of our purpose, and that's a whole other conversation for another day. But the point is, I have just learned to get excited. Yes, I still feel chills. Yes, it's still awkward and uncomfortable because I'm also funding other people's lifestyles. I have employees. I need to make sure we still make enough money to cover the business costs. And so I don't want to impact other families. But when I'm telling you, when it get hard, you see this grin right here? That be me. Like, oh, he finna show up and show out. I know something is coming that's bigger than me.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm glad the Holy Spirit shifted that, okay? Yeah. So we're gonna take some questions from the audience after this last question, so we're gonna, if y'all got questions, start raising your hands, and Alicia gonna get to you. But I wanna talk about legacy, cause I feel like both of you guys have families, like you're creating something that is meant to be bigger than you, and so what is your, like, perspective on, like, creating legacy, especially with what you're doing, and how often are you thinking about that when things get tough?
Yeah, I'm thinking about legacy every day, every moment, every minute. I have two little people, a son and a daughter. My daughter in particular, I'm convinced that it is me, I don't want to say reincarnated, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? You know how they say that, God's going to give you yourself back? I think I was a good kid, so I'm not sure about that. And so I think about that. So even in the business, I show my daughter how to do everything. My son, he's 15, he don't care. But my daughter, like, I have pictures of her when we was just I had a spare room in my house that I was working out of, and her sitting at the table with me, packing up orders, doing what we had to do. And all of that is legacy because at the end of the day, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, those are titles that I hold, but it's not what defines me. And I want my daughter to know that the titles that she holds for other people is not what defines her, right? So it's important to me that both of my children watch me every day just live in my truth and do the things that bring me joy. Because people say crap roll downhill, but we forget that positivity does too. Self-love does too. Faith does too, right? Showing up as your authentic self, that rolls downhill too. And so I want all of that to fall onto my children. And I want them to know that mama did what she had to do to make sure that your life was good, but she equally made sure she did things that brought her joy and made her happy. Because legacy is bigger than a dollar.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna leave them a what?
Don't get it twisted.
Don't worry, sweetheart, I got you. But in addition, I want to make sure that I left them something in their soul, in their spirit, right? That shows up that you can't see that on paper. You just feel it when you hug them, right? And when you're in their presence. And I want to make sure that they take that from me and carry that into generations and generations and generations. So that's legacy for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So yeah, legacy for me as well is, the same thing, and just planting seeds on, for the future. So not really just getting caught up in too much on like the day to day and what's going on of like, okay, what am I doing now that's going to actually help me leave a legacy? And from a business aspect is like creating stuff that is going to be here when you're not here. So that's why like I'm a published author. The books are going to be around when I'm, not here. Content and stuff like that can be around when I'm not here. So that's something that, I've been very intentional about as well, of like, how can I create stuff that will outlive me? So I think that's really big on leaving a legacy and just being mindful of that when you're creating stuff, not just like, okay, how is it going to be great for this quarter or this year? How can this be something that can last, and then my children or whoever can actually reap the benefits of something that I put out there. Because how many books, of course, the Bible, or other books in general, that people have created one time and it still leaves a legacy and they can either still making money from it or it just impacts people for thousands and thousands of years going forward.
Yeah. What's your book? Drop your book.
Oh, so my book is The Prescriptions. I'm the funnel doctor, give y'all a prescription. I do got a few copies with me, but it's also on Amazon, bestseller on Amazon right when we put it up like in the first week. So it's all about all things sales funnels, marketing, traffic, Facebook ads, and really how to acquire more customers and acquire them profitably.
Love it. Sharon, you got a book?
It's not yet, but I'm gonna have to give me a break. They hang around all these authors,
Right.
I gotta get my life together.
Listen.
Yeah, we gonna listen.
We gonna see
know, okay?
Listen.
So let's hear our questions from the audience. We've got Ayana first, then we'll come up to Aunt Jolie.
Hello, my name is Ayana Vaughn, and I help entrepreneurs make million-dollar decisions based on their money story. So one of the things that, I'm a numbers girly, right? I love margins, I love percentages and all that good stuff because it helps not only myself but my clients go from anxious to neutral with their money, right? By looking at the reports in a digestible way. So my question is, I know it's really contingent on like the type of industry and like season and the campaign, but what are some like good markers of percentage of revenue of ad spend or marketing spend so that like, because it changes so much, but what do you see as like a good like, okay, if you spend X amount of your revenue on ads or marketing, what's that realm of like suggestion?
It depends. Yeah, it's just, it really depends. If I were you, I would look at it where it's like I'm not trying to make a whole bunch of money on the front end acquisition of the customer or the lead. That's what I really will focus on, and think about like what does your entire follow up or your funnel look like from a holistic standpoint of like your entire marketing. So of course, you want to make more than you spend, but you may not make that right back within a week or a month or whatever. So really understanding the lifetime value, that's what I would really focus on if I were you. Because it really depends. It's like if I just give you a number, I'd be lying, but I would really look at like, okay, if I acquire someone or a lead, how can I maximize them where it's like maybe over 90 days or whatever, like I've actually maybe 10x'd what I spent to acquire them. And I don't have to keep spending money to acquire them once I got them into my system, in my funnel, and really look at it that way. If that makes sense.
I would say from my side of the aisle, they suggest that you spend 20% of your annual revenue on marketing. And that encompasses all things, right? Your ad spend, whatever other advertising and marketing that you do from a product standpoint, we usually recommend that you use 3 to 5% of that on marketing materials, right? So that includes like beautiful signage and the pins and flyers and all of the things. But I would also usually tell people if you have like really high ticket offers, if you have something that is $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever, heck, $5,000, and you don't see the value in taking at least 2% of that to give them some type of appreciation gift or something like that, we need to rethink this.
Definitely.
Right? But overall, they suggest that you spend 20%. If you're not doing the other things, so if you're not running ads, then you can redirect a higher percentage of that to marketing materials if you find that to be most profitable for you. But at minimum, we recommend that you have a 3 to 5% of your annual revenue that go towards marketing materials.
So helpful.
So I have a question. My question is, do you have any advice for the 9 to 5 girls who's shifting over to full entrepreneurship and how we could prepare to market ourselves so we're not going in blindly and failing, I should say.
I need to know a little bit more. When you say going in failing,
Well,
are you trying to not show up too much so your 9 to 5 get mad? Don't get mad.
okay, so my thing is, so in 2021, I decided to leave my 9 to 5 the first time. And when I did, I started off doing really good, but by June 2022, I was broke because the traffic started to slow down, which caused me to go back to my 9 to 5. So what is the best way to market ourselves so we could consistently bring in new clients?
Okay, that makes
To
perfect sense.
prepare.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. So, 2 quick tips I would say is on the front end, go back and analyze what went wrong that first time, right? Like your own case study. Go and pay attention. What is it that slowed down the traffic? And don't make it some global excuse like the pandemic. No, something you did or didn't do caused a huge shift, and you need to really take the time to figure out what that is so that you can prepare in advance. But secondly, I would say be authentic with your community because you're not alone in that story. Somebody else had to do the same thing, a lot of somebody else's, right? So talk about that. The first time I did business, it was amazing. These things happened, but something went wrong, whatever that is, and come on this journey with me. And that becomes your messaging and your marketing story sometimes we're so worried, me included. I remember when I was in that spare room, I didn't want people to know I was in there. I was embarrassed. But now that I look back, I hate that I didn't really capture content and talk to people in depth about that because
Right.
I wasn't alone in that journey. So take people now and use your marketing message to take people on that journey with you so that they know, like, and trust you. And when you are able to step away from that job again, not only are they excited, but they trust that you can guide them to do the same.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think the two main things you should focus on are number one, being acquiring leads and just having a lead generation strategy ongoing, where it's like every single day, whether that's running ads, whether that's content, whether that's podcasts or whatever you're doing as your traffic strategy, you're consistently building your list every day. You know, that's going to definitely be a great safe haven for you. And then the second thing is, how do I convert them? So like really just being like every single day, like, all right, how many leads did we get today? How are we converting them? Whatever your actual, I call it like a bankable sales strategy of like, what is like the main thing that you need to do to convert these people? Whether that's through doing an event, whether it's through a webinar, whether that's through content, whether that's through sales calls, like whatever it is, really focus on that and not give you that direction. Every single day, is my list building? How much is it building? And every single day, what are we doing to convert these new people on our list into customers?
So good. One real quick thing. Also, when you go back to what didn't work, go back and look at what did. Like, what was,
Right.
what were you doing when, you know, if you're like, oh, I was being consistent, I was posting on Instagram every single day. It's like, oh, okay, then that's probably what you stopped doing.
Right.
So it's like, pay attention to that. We got time for one more question.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya, I'm a Christian career coach. My question is, I know that we put a lot of attention to Facebook ads. Are there any emerging channels, whether that be digital or traditional, that are you seeing a rise in that you would want us to focus our attention on in this upcoming season?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ooh, pick me. I've been down for this question. No, seriously. So I celebrate ads. You know, run your ads. Do what you got to do. But what most people don't know is that the cost of impressions and promotional products is 6 cents. 6 cents, right? And you're like, well, how is that possible? Because you guys are gonna use this pen outside of this room. Some of y'all gonna forget it and leave it somewhere. And somebody else gonna pick up the pen and start using it because they're not gonna throw it away. So there's another impression, right? And so all these things you see constantly over and over again, you do t-shirts and give away a bunch of t-shirts to people because everybody wants to sell them. There is an ROI of free. But you give away a bunch of t-shirts. We're a part of a community. I've seen that community's t-shirts on the news. I've seen it in people's live videos. They got hundreds and thousands of people on their live and they marketing somebody else unconsciously. And so all of those impressions is really building your brand. And so I want you to understand that investment, I'm not saying don't do your ads and all that stuff, but remember that products have an average of 6 cents per impression, and people on average keep your promotional item for 2 to 5 years.
I love that. I need some more stuff from you.
Yeah.
You got me?
I got you.
All right. I would say, and I get this question a lot now, actually. I was doing a training like the day when Facebook and Instagram went down. It was like a few weeks ago. And I was doing a training and people asked me that. I think one of the most slept on platforms for marketing is YouTube. Like, I really think a lot of people are not utilizing it fully like they should, even myself. Because of course we all know YouTube. It's not a platform we're not familiar with. You know, we look at stuff, but like, are we as intentional about marketing, advertising on the platform? Another thing that has been doing really well for myself and other people we've been working with is the YouTube Shorts. You know, so those are like organically getting a lot of traffic and visibility and building the subscribers up. So I think that's low hanging fruit. And like I said, it's kind of slept on, you know, because Facebook is great. I love Facebook. Facebook spoiled a lot of business owners because when it was great, we was getting leads, getting customers, like it was great. But I would suggest maybe you just be more intentional about YouTube and see how that goes from a traffic strategy.
Man, Y'all, give it up for this amazing panel. I know we're the last thing before lunch, so we're gonna take a quick picture and y'all can turn y'all attention to the screen.
Yeah, we good.
My name is Gabby, and I am the founder of Holy Ground Ministries, and I teamed with my friend Candace in 2020 when she did her virtual Go There conference, and two of my dear friends were speakers in that. And so from there, I started following her, and it has been an amazing experience. I am one of Candace's private clients, and so as a private client, I get exclusive access to all of her retreats, her group coaching, and all of the wealth of knowledge that she has. One key takeaway from the retreat